Welcome back to the channel, folks. Paradigm Review Show. Ross Sam, Mosh Shinobi, Gaz Mosh. Right off the rip, subscribe both channels. YouTube.com/PlanetXFilm. Mosh Shinobi, you can find his button in the description. Click that there. What brings us here today? Well, it's a show that Gaz actually brought to the channel, which is Warrior. It's currently on HBO Max. It's pretty epic. You can check out. I think we did both season 1 and 2, didn't we, guys?
We did, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to make sure we got this done. A little bit slow on my end because I watched the first half of the season. I got jammed up, and then I recently finished it this week, so I was able to come full circle with Gaz about a year later. The show is sick. I mean, you guys saw what we said about season 1 and season 2, based on the writings of Bruce Lee. Amazing music, amazing stunt choreography, amazing combat sequences, and martial arts. Good action, almost some grindhouse level kills in this season, Gaz. We'll get to those. Maybe a gorier season than the other seasons at time. I can't remember how much gore was in the other seasons, but I know some people got bodied in this season. So
I want to say this off the bat, y'all. I feel even though the time period is different, it's still a historical based show. I feel like this was kind of the Spartacus show that we have wanted since Spartacus stopped. Even though this is martial arts, something to fill that void. It's definitely got a grindhouse feel, as Ross said. Super grimy. Highly recommended. I still can't believe how unnoticed this show has gone.
I'm amazed because all people talked about was Cobra Kai, and whenever something gets that sort of hype, I'm all for watching the martial arts shows, and you guys see Gaz covering the ninja genre over on his channel, but Gaz put me onto this. I'm more of a Bruce Lee fanboy, which is why I was telling Lauren about it, Gaz, when he was on, because he had the Bruce Lee tattoo.
Yeah,
I was like, Gaz, you got to tell about Warrior.
Yeah.
So Gaz introduced me to this show. It has a lot of the British actors, and you guys saw how we explained the political breakdown in the other seasons, which is kind of the Irish faction versus the Chinese immigrant faction, which is actually split into separate factions within itself, the Tongs, Mei Ling's crew, and Assam's crew, as well as other groups and other characters as well, who get in the mix. Word on the street is that it's going to be making the jump. So if you guys don't have HBO Max, don't fret. It's going to be making the jump to Netflix. It's supposedly just bottomed out, and we're currently in limbo here as to a season 4, but you guys will see what we say about the ending here. We're going to try to avoid spoilers, but there's also some fights and some kills that we want to talk about, so it's been long enough, guys. We gotta handle those how we gotta handle them. But if you're a martial arts fan, a Bruce Lee fan, any sort of, Gaz said a lot of the British I guess action stars, if you will, are in this as well. So if any of those things appeal to you, check it out. And there's something for everybody in it as well too. Strong female characters that actually can fight, that actually do have kung fu technique, as well as weapons use and all of that. I wouldn't just paint the broad brush that it's just a bunch of masculine ripped male dudes, although it is, but like some of the women have some of the arguably best fight scenes as well. So
yeah, I think the difference is nothing is forced. Everybody is on equal footing. If you've got somebody who is trained, whether it's a man or a woman, they are capable. The same if it's somebody who is untrained, whether it's a man or a woman, they will not be so capable, although they could be capable in a different way, politically, manipulation, etc., as we'll get into.
For sure, yeah, there's a whole bunch of the political manipulation. Is it... we were talking about the character who is, and we'll come to it in a bit, who is the mistress that breaks off with what's her name's like plantation, whatever they're calling it.
Atoy.
And Atoy gets jumped like I think 2 or 3 times in this season, and has some actually amazing fights. I don't want to blow it because it's coming up later, but when she uses she pulled the spike out of her hair, Gaz, and then for 2 she had the blade fan like Jake from Mortal Kombat, and freaking diced those dudes in the alley. I was like, wow. Like it's like that's a scene where like, okay, yeah, like it's a woman, she's female, but she just had one of the goriest kills in the season, so it's like you're just like, let it ride, like.
It's Nelly who Atoy breaks off with, who runs the kind of, I guess, it's a bit of a sanctuary for women that had been abused, forced into prostitution. And Atoya actually runs a brothel in the series, but she tries to still do it responsibly to take care of people who are under her wing. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we'll come to that shortly, guys.
Yeah.
So I will get us into the episode breakdown, and I'm going to be fuzzier on the earlier episodes, guys, but once we hit about halfway through, there's definitely some great fights we're going to outline and all that stuff. Episode 1, exactly the wrong time to get proud. Struggling under the pressure of an increased police presence, the Hop Way search for a new way to survive. Meanwhile, as Leary grows frustrated with his limitations on the city council, the Long Z gain powerful new connections. And before we move on, I want to say Marc Dacascos is in the show. Gaz is another one who highlighted him originally on the channel. I think it was John Wick 3. Dude pops up in every martial arts project for good reason, because he's a legend and one of the best guys ever. So if you're a Dacascos fan, you essentially have to watch this. Hong is the newer. I think did they introduce Hong last season? But he's the newer character to the Hong to the.
Yeah, they introduced him last season. You've got me thinking, did he come in the latter part of season 1? No, I think he did come in season 2.
No, I don't think he was in season 1. I think it was
season 2.
Yeah. And he's played by Chen Tang. I actually liked him a lot when they introduced him as a new character. He's the long-haired dude. We'll get to how his relationship pans out later. I think Gaz and I both have feedback on that.
Yeah, it's notable, folks. Him and I think it's Young June. They are in the Fast and Furious movies as well. I mean, this series is it's actually, I think is it directed or produced by Justin Lin from.
I think he's the showrunner. He must be the exec prod. Yeah. Yep. Another good point by Gaz. And then, man, some of these guys also. Joe Taslim plays Lee Yong. He's like the ripped Jack dude who's kind of the answer to Assam. You know, Assam would just be like slicing through everybody if Lee Yong wasn't there to stop him. So another amazing technical fighter.
And he has
Good.
I was just going to say we'll get to this later, but he has a fantastic scene with Marc Dacascos in the latter part of the series.
Yep. Yeah, that's a square off near I think the third or second. Of course, Gene Jagger plays Dylan Leary. Kieran Boo plays Bill O'Hara. We'll get to Mai Ling is mixed in this season, guys. We'll come to that, and of course, Andrew Koji is Assam. So she's up and down. She's definitely not my cup of tea acting wise, and
mine either.
There's parts in this season where I thought she was doing really well, but then within the same episode she would do something cringe, and I'm just like, now it's 50-50, you know, like. But I will say the way she went out in the end was epic, and we were.
That was good. She's been my least favorite character in the entire series. Is grated on me all the time, and that's nothing personal against her. I haven't seen her other work, so I can't say. And I'm basing on the character, not the person. Before anybody is. But yeah, she's certainly
just her story arc, and we'll come to each person's story arc. Hers is, I mean. Not to cut Gaz off, but she is in a complicated spot because she's the brother of Assam and then the leader of the opposing clan. So,
she's his sister.
So it is a complex character story arc. But at the same time, as Gaz said, there's up and down moments within that acting. You know.
Yeah, agreed.
I think you'd agree, right?
Yeah.
So, good.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna take us on too. So I don't really remember I know. When that riot pops off, I think that's one of these later episodes, right?
Yeah, it is. There's not. I mean, the first opening episode is fairly slow. It's pretty much kind of getting you
mostly set up.
Yeah, it is. The first couple of episodes run like that. Actually, it's getting you reacquainted with the characters.
End of the world, because when you come off of season 2, you're like, all right, wait, what happened again? Like, you need them to reestablish all the political manipulation in order to be like, what the hell's going on in the plot line?
I was just about to say that. That's what I feel the first, the early episodes are doing, is reacquainting you with people, establishing the political order, who's vying for power, the manipulations behind the scenes. I've definitely got to shout out Leary. Outside of Assam, Leary is probably my next favorite character, and I feel the actor who plays him, he really got a chance to shine this season. You saw pretty much his motivations, more of his backstory is revealed as well, why he's doing what he does. A guy who's pretty much trying to make the best of the position he's in.
I felt that like he stepped up his acting chops in this season.
Agreed.
He represents the Irish faction, and
Yeah.
it's 1800s San Francisco guys. So if you can't handle what that entails, then just don't watch the show. But yes, it does pit white versus the Chinese, which is the Irish faction versus the Chinese, and that's the whole cause of the riot. It's racially motivated. There's a lot of back and forth, but they ultimately do a good job, as both Leary and Assam both do try to navigate not having another riot and avoiding another race war. Which is interesting. You have two guys that don't like each other, kind of like, hey, it's either we work it out together or all of our communities, which risks a bunch more deaths if everyone just free for alls at each other. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like the riot was. So it puts him in a tough spot, which is cool, like Gaz was saying.
Yeah, but it puts that real world perspective on it as well. How you could imagine people had to do that in the Victorian period, wherever they were in the world at that time. Outside of the aristocracy, there was obviously the gangs, people forced into prostitution to survive, prize fighting, join a gang. Yeah, I often feel that side is overlooked of this period because we're always presented with the nobility, the high classes, when the reality was really grimy and really dangerous. And I do want to say it's nice to see a series set in the Victorian era, and this is no offense here. I'm not saying there's no good drama set in London or Paris, but we're actually going to Victorian America for once, and it's not New York either. It's not one of the big three that's always done. So that was
West Coast, which
exactly.
has all the Asian immigration and kind of different themes than those other places would have. And to Gaz's point, what would you say 80 to 90% lived at that commoner street level? So when you watch every Victorian show ever, they show you the aristocracy. It's like, how many of us can relate to that unless you were from some royal family and that's your personal history? It's like, it's much more relatable to be at the commoner level, which, as Gaz said, was the gangs, gangs on both sides, and those other kind of street level professions. But episode 2, anything short of a blow to the head, as Assam and Young Jun struggle to produce authentic bills. They get valuable printing advice from an unexpected source. Meanwhile, the Secret Service begins to track counterfeit currency, and Mei Ling mingles with a new crowd. That's obviously Mei Ling doing these meetings with the aristocratic whites and attempting to gain favor from them. If you've seen the first 2 seasons, you probably know how that's going to go, right?
Yeah, that is a bit predictable. That actually, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Also, par for the period, as Gaz was saying, because you're dealing with a highly racist, upper class of whites. So, I mean, you know what they're going to choose. They're going to choose money in themselves. I do like the themes of the Tongs printing the money and getting the plates, which is what most of the theme revolves around once it's, as it said there with the Secret Service. Go, guys.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I echo your thoughts there. Yeah, definitely, because it hints at a coming storyline, adds that little bit of further backstory as well. Introduction of the Secret Service to track down the fake bills. Hints at them possibly coming. There's a nice section where it ties into Lee, who worked with Bill. Lee was the Southern American who used to be a cop, and he's now working in a bar with his girlfriend. And I know that sounds so modern the way I've just described it. Not meant to be.
Even though Gaz didn't hype it up there, I thought his girlfriend was an awesome character. She does something sick later in the scene when she later in the season when she pops off. I do like their dynamic, that both characters complement each other.
Good chemistry.
Lee is awesome, as Gaz said. I was gonna say the Secret Service ranger dude that deputizes Lee. He gets him. He basically gives him a badge, and because he knows he has law enforcement experience, so he's like, you should already know the reason if you guys saw season 1 or 2, but just for sake of spoilers, we won't say what the reason that he's able to deputize him is. But if you've been following Lee's story arc, you know that he has something from his past that he essentially needs cleared. They've brought it up, so you guys already know what it is if you're familiar with the season. If you're not, we won't spoil it for you, but we'll just say, it's their dynamic is very cool because Lee is kind of have to force to work with him where he's like, okay, I don't necessarily want to work with this dude, but he said that if I help him with what he needs help with, he's gonna clear what I need off my record clearance. So I kind of like how he extorted him, and then it's like the federal government. So what do you tell this guy no? And he can just put you in prison for life and lock away the key. But that dude has the scar on his face. He's a snarky federal. He's Secret Service. So does that make them FBI? Back then, I'm not even sure. Maybe the FBI didn't come into.
They didn't. I think it was just Secret Service then. But they're pretty much above everyone because they obviously just answer the president.
Yeah,
there is a
federal.
In fact, I'm going to behave myself and wait till we get to this episode where we are talking about the new police chief. So I'll wait till we get to that episode. Just remember the particular scene.
Atwood, I think that guy's
name
is.
Yeah.
He's a P word, and I mean P-R-I-C.
Good actor, though.
I'm not going to spell the whole thing out, but the guy will grind your gears, but a fantastic actor. Like, God, I've never met that dude. So we'll go No Time for Effing Chemistry, episode 3. As hey, it's a Grindhouse show when they literally have the F word in the episode name. While taking menacing steps to secure Nellie's land, Strickland instills confidence in Leary's political abilities. Then, as the Hopway increase bill production, tensions rise between Young Jun and Assam. We'll talk about Strickland as this new stereotypical aristocratic white, as Gaz was saying, to bring that theme back. And I just realized that we're going to have to change the title of this when the show's done because it still says...
Yeah, I noticed that. Season 2, it's Season 3.
Oops, we're on Season 3. Sorry, guys. Welcome to PXF. Subscribe below, the #1 professional show on YouTube. This dude is taking Leary under his arm to say, like, hey, you have influence over the Irish votes. The mayor or whoever runs for office is going to need those votes. So he's kind of like, in a way, mentoring him to bring him up to the next level. But at the same time, what we were saying about the aristocrats earlier is they're always out for themselves. So.
The thing is, back then, they viewed, unless you could provide them with some worth, something of benefit to them, they viewed everybody as less than human, regardless of what color you were as well. I mean, there were even worse people who didn't share the same color, but it's just like you're good at trash. So
unless you had money,
exactly. Unless you come into a part of wealth or influence, as Leary has. So it's he can. I remember this the Strickland. That's it. They're vying for labor, both for, I think it is the factory and the coming railroads, which is nice because this ties into the construction of the railroads, which we'll get into later. And you're right, Strickland is trying to mold Leary, trying to make him a bit more gentlemanly, but use I guess the hard man side as a tool. Learn when to use this. But you kind of know that Leary, I think he underestimates Leary's intellect just because he's from the streets and this guy isn't educated. But Leary's got that world experience, has dealt with these kind of people before. And Leary's
street
thinking,
smarts, he can catch a hustler no matter at what level. So he knows a con man when he sees one, which is we'll come to how their relationship spirals down. This episode, guys. So real quick before we go in. As we were saying about the manipulation politics, okay, it's a key component of Warrior, and I do like the aspect. However, Gaz and I were both agreeing that this season definitely has the highest dose of manipulation politics.
Too heavy, isn't it?
So it does get to the point, although we both agreed it was a good theme, right, in season 1 and 2, and it's a key component of the show, it does get to the point where it's like, it's so much, it becomes so overwhelming that it does start to overshadow other aspects of the show, which...
it loses that balance. Look, if it was as much as we both here love action, we both love martial arts, vigilante movies, everything like that. If it was all out non-stop action and no story, of course, then it would have no soul, no substance. That would get boring.
It needs a spirit. It needs a
purpose. But you're right. It's too heavy on the politicking at times. And the negative I can say early on is sometimes I feel Assam and the Tongs are kind of fade into the background. When they shouldn't
started out as main characters in the early seasons. So,
so that's one of the only, I guess, gripes I have with this season of Warrior. I mean, we're on episode 3. It's still fairly slow paced.
Yeah.
It is setting up.
Just get go ahead, guys. I'm just getting.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's setting up future events. A really good episode, which could almost be a standalone episode. Actually, Ross knows what I'm referring to. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Gaz has highlighted this to me, and it's very.
Yeah, definitely. It's just you just feel I think it does turn around, folks, as we'll get to. The balance does get readdressed, and I think it will be for season 4. I think it will get back more to what Warrior was.
Depending on what Netflix does, which we don't know what that's going to be. Hey, at least it's not getting bought out by Disney, but I think Gaz is probably right. And we'd need a whole nother show to cover that issue. Sorry. They wouldn't purchase R-rated content. So at the end of this one, when they burned down Ellie's ranch, I quite frankly found this episode to be quite slow with the manipulation politics. And it started dragging on to the point that it almost lost my attention until Strickland sends his goons to burn down the freaking plantation, and there's an absolutely crazy fight. One of the bigger early on fights with the flaming, kind of ranch in the background. Ends up being Leary versus Sam, but they do get cut off, much like in that old factory fight. Was that season 2? When
season 2, yeah.
So
we did the Superman punch. Yeah.
Every time they've met up, they haven't fully gone at each other because something's always broken up. So little spoiler, that does happen again. But the fight was sick. Like I was literally like laying in my bed, like, not knowing which direction I was going to go, whether asleep or I was going to keep watching this episode. And then they started beating the crap out of each other. I don't know if it was Ellie or one of them had I think the chain with the flaming freaking whip on it. And, there was just there were some sequences. We won't blow them all, spoil them all. There was some freaking sequences there and it got me back on. So
it pretty much saves that episode because our toy, she has an absolute epic fight scene. She goes through the ringer quite a few times this season, and then there's the character who's kind of her apprentice, I guess. She has a good scene in this one as well, and it's pretty brutal. It really does. It really does show you that this Strickland is all about business. He's all about what he wants, no matter what. If you don't get out of his way, he's going to go through you. 100%. So it sets him up as the villain.
So I did have a question, Gaz. On the manipulation politics, this might be a point that I missed because they throw a lot at you in Warrior, guys. There's like 10 main characters, if not 20. What he wanted the land of the plantation to build the train track through? Is that because I didn't understand why he burned that place down, I didn't realize it was Strickland at first, but I figured it out.
Yeah, he wanted the land. He wanted the land so his railroad could go through it. First, he was trying to say, "Look, I'll buy you out, Ellie," and then it's like, "No, okay, we'll burn it down so she has to leave, and then we'll just build it through regardless."
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Let's move on. In China, this is I think right around where I got back on recently, guys. In Chinatown, no one thinks about forever. Shaken by the loss of Nellie's land, Ah Toy grapples with a different choice while Mai Ling strikes a business deal with Eliza. An intrusive encounter echoes Li Yong's fears. Ah Sam and Yan Mi think on their toes during a police raid. We could get to dickhead Captain Atwood, who replaces Bill. He beats the freaking crap out of Youngjun at the Tong base, looking for the plates, and he just they had to pull the chief off of him because he beat him.
Yeah, he's a lunatic.
Just to make a statement out of him, just to beat up the leader. There's a new chief in town, a new sheriff in town. So that was pretty brutal. I can't remember much else. I don't know. I don't think there was any big fights in that one. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much in this one. You get a hint of what's going to happen to Mai Ling with her new business associates. As I said regarding the last episode, Leary's
scumbag.
It's more on the politicking. Leary's again quite prominent. And it's introducing Atwood, I guess, as another villain who, I guess, if you want to see a kind of a psychotic dude in a position of authority, that's Atwood. The actor, let's just get the actor for you quick.
Yeah, he's anti-Asian, highly racist.
Yeah, Niels Klassen, South African. Haven't come across him before. Apparently, he's been in Black Sails, The Last Days of
Black
American
Sails was awesome. Good actor.
Crime.
Good actor.
Yeah, very, very good actor. Excellent in the role. This character will be one you will quickly come to hate, and he will definitely grind your gears. But that's testament to this guy's performance.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And then also another thing I wanted to say, Mayor Blake ends up running for office. You guys remember this tool bag from the other season. He's running an anti-immigration, I'm even going to paint a current event parallel, guys, which is something we almost never do on this show. We never talk politics here. But he's running a Trumpian kind of anti-immigration campaign, which is quite ironic, right? Because it's relevant for the 1800s and it's also relevant in American politics now, which is quite sad because it shows how far we've come in 200 years, which is not far. But anyway, he's going to end up grinding your gears too.
Yeah. Credit. I mean, the good thing on Warrior is, even though we've shared some of our gripes already with this season, the acting is definitely up there. These guys in parts certainly show off the chops, improve it. It's just we just feel that the balance is a little bit too much on the politic in this season, folks. That's all. But
mind you, this is season 3, guys. So you heard us in season 1. The fights are awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Season 2. The fights are awesome. It's incredible. So we're just giving you the fights are awesome. It's incredible. We're just giving you a little bit more of of the backstory in season 3, which I think, if this is a show you guys like and you choose to support, it's something you want to continue to watch, you'll be able to decide if it's something you want to move forward with season 4. But just real quick, guys, one thing Warrior does very well is introducing new characters that work well with the existing storylines. Young Jun's father makes an appearance as a veteran Tong with PSD from the war he fought in. Excellent performance from that dude, Gaz. I don't know what you thought about the scenes with Young Jun and Father Jun.
I thought they were excellent. He was prominent in season 1 because he was still head of the Tong. 2, 2 not so much. But I thought
he's
they
not
were
a new character per se. Excuse
me.
No. He's reintroduced with more of a highlight because you didn't get much of his origin in the other ones, right?
You know what's good is the guy's performance, considering the things that these gangs will have done to innocent people in this timeline as well. But this is, I think, testament to the guy's performance playing him. You feel sorry for him. You feel sad at what's happened. There is various scenes, guys, where, spoiler alert here, where he's wandering around, not sure where he is, or he's lost in a past moment. Yeah, there's even a section where he goes into a rival Tong territory, and they actually take pity on him and bring him back and say, "Look, your dad's been wandering around." No, that was it was quite a sad scene, actually.
A lot of times when narrative TV shows or movies try to depict PTSD, they do a super unrealistic, cringy job where you're like, come on, man, who acts like that? But I felt his performance very realistic, as Gaz was saying, very authentic. Dude can act it, in my opinion. Hey, I'm no psychiatrist or no psychologist, guys, but just simply saying, in my opinion.
To go on that notion that you mentioned, Ross, that Warrior does a superb job of introducing new characters. I think, isn't this the episode where they introduced the love interest for the mayor and also his rival, because how he pretty much campaigns against his rival and gets the vote in his favor. Talk about grimy politics that nothing changes.
Yep. The stuff they brought up, Strickland brought that stuff up to his face, and he's like, yeah, this guy would be an honest man. He's like, I have no use for honest men in politics. He's like, we need guys that we can control. I think we're coming up to it soon, but when Mayor Blake has a super cringe sex scene with his new love interest, and I'll have some feedback on that. It's essentially akin to a Frank Reynolds' It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia sex scene from the Lethal Weapon remakes they made for all my Sunny heads out there. Just disgusting. You want to turn your TV off. Anyway, we'll burn that.
With that said,
moving on. Hey, it's PXF. This is what you guys come here for. Episode 5. Assam and Hong race against time to free Young Jun before he's sent to China. As Mei Ling hits rock bottom in prison, Li Yong struggles to gain support for a rescue mission. Buckley raises an ultimatum, and Leon follows his instincts. Let's see. I don't know when they do. I think it's either this episode or the next episode. Well, a few things on that real quick. So Atwood arrests Young Jun after he beats him down, which gets him into the deportation camp, and Father Jun is there also. And ultimately, well, Young Jun gets jumped by some rival dudes whose families the Tongs have wronged, and they beat the bag out of him. He survives. Him and Father Jung come up with a plan to if they need to escape, how they need to escape. And I was waiting to see that pan out, Gaz, because I was like, with this show, they're gonna show it. They don't cut away when they show kills or deaths in Warrior. So I was like, they're gonna absolutely show a freaking bloodbath here. And then Warrior throws you a curveball. Semi-spoiler. Turn out if you don't want to hear this, Assam makes a deal with Mei Ling to get the attorneys to help get Young Jung out, which is. That was cool because it's Warrior, so you're expecting bloodshed. You're like, oh yeah, they're gonna kill their way out. Of course, it's Warrior, but then they actually get out a different way, which you're like, okay, and that creates politics with Assam, Mei Ling, and Young Jung creates friction.
Yeah, it does. It kind of creates that. Okay, we did this to help you. Now you owe us.
Yep, exactly. Mei Ling gets ratted on by the white girl, as Gaz said, whose husband came on to her, and she sold her out to the cops. So that there's Young Jung and Mei Lin, the two leaders, both get locked up, which is interesting. I'm not sure. Okay, this is the next episode. So this is Fire.
This, A Soft Heart Won't Do You No Favors, episode 6.
Yes. Chow and Lee band together after an unexpected toss-up threatens their lives. Meanwhile, the Hopway navigate a tense deal with German traders. I forgot this both happened in the same episode, dude. This episode was crazy. So I'm going to talk about Lee's origin, and then I'm going to let Gaz talk about his favorite part, which is the German traders, as Leary and Strickland ruffle feathers in the political world. So I'm gonna do the white people, white trash part, which is I can relate to this, and then Gaz can do the European part because that's his heritage. So you're gonna find out, and I'm gonna do it non-spoiler, but I'm gonna do it Grindhouse. You're gonna find out about Lee's origin, and essentially what happens to him is his family comes after him, which is like his mom and his brothers. They're essentially kidnapped with Chow. We're talking about a highly racist Southern family here, guys. So you're going to hear unflattering language. You're going to hear non-PC things said to Chow. You're going to hear all that stuff. It's quite a long sequence, to be honest with you. Super gut-wrenching and probably longer than it's the type of thing that you want to watch.
Shine away.
Just the way it breaks down. So essentially, they're bringing him home, and they want to bring Lee to a spot. They're trying to make him either rejoin the faction, and he's refusing. He wants to uphold the law, and he wants to stick up for Chow because he's not a racist dude, unlike many of the white characters in the show. Well, his family has some disagreements there, so they're essentially have kidnapped them and are essentially bringing them out to kill them. I'm gonna drop some spoilers on it, guys, just because I have to. Just pause and go watch the season, or fast forward and do whatever you need to do to get around this. They tie up Lee on the tree, and they're about to kill him with the rifles. They also try to kill Chow, who gets away. This is the awesomest thing. I was always 50-50 on Chow because sometimes he screws people on the deals, and he's like self-serving and all that stuff. But this is where he redeemed himself in the story arc for me. I won't say what he did. I'll just say he escaped and he came back to help Lee, and I won't say how the rest of that pans out. I will say that they continue mostly through the rest of the season, so you can take a guess how this turned out for them. But it's extremely violent. It's extremely grindhouse. They don't skimp on the kills at all. Close-up kill shots, very bloody, very violent gore. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's grindhouse.
Well, I'm going to add something onto it, and this is something that I feel Warrior does. It shows you the Eastern, the martial arts side, blended with the Western, and at times they've gone outside of the city into the Wild West, if you like, to show you the Western component. And this exact scene that Ross is describing to you, incredibly brutal, very well done though. If you've ever seen Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino's Western, it has that feel and vibe to it. So
Django
you
Unchained.
kind,
So it's a wagon
oh yeah,
scene in the
yeah,
wilderness, as Gaz is alluding to. I would
yeah,
even put out the Yellowstone comparison for all my
definitely,
Yellowstone heads, or
definitely,
1883, which Lauren referenced. But
definitely
yeah, go
awesome
ahead,
show.
Gaz. You nailed that on the head.
No, no, I was just about it. That's
Yeah,
perfect. All of those
yeah,
combined,
yeah,
and I feel Warrior does a perfect partnership of still showing the Western, the West Side, if you like, the Wild West, because it is in that time period. Okay, cities are
yeah.
becoming more industrialized, but that's still there.
It's maybe
Um,
later West, as Gaz said, but it's still
yeah,
West.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So no, perfect. Um,
I want Gaz
really,
to talk about his favorite part because he brought it up to
oh,
me a few times.
oh man, man, man,
Uh,
man.
the Hopway navigate a tense deal with German traders. As yeah,
Oh, dude, oh, okay, folks, this is superb. I remember fanboying about this episode when I'd watched it, and I think I WhatsApped Ross in the middle of the night. I was like, dude, you've got to see this. Have you got to worry yet? It's like,
I
bro.
think you
And I'm
saw
like,
it before
yeah,
me, and you were ahead of me,
yeah,
so you were like, "Dude, you have to get to this shootout."
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, I'm not there yet, bro."
yeah, yeah. And I've been on a Ross for just like, dude, we've got to review this. We've got to
But
get
he
this
was
on the
right.
channels.
He was right. I'm gonna say he was right.
Oh man, this is okay. I just mentioned Wild West. If you think of all those classic spaghetti westerns, it's pretty much that mixed with a bit of martial arts. So the Kung Fu series, David Carradine, for example, this is beautifully done. Essentially, Hassan and Hotway go there to negotiate a deal with German traders. You see some of the conditions that the Chinese are having to work under on the railroads,
Yep.
and you
They're
see
getting
how the
abused and mistreated.
yeah, you see how the Germans are treating them. I don't they have a dog? One of the Germans in there, isn't there a notable dog in this scene? I'm sure there is.
I
I
I don't
think the
recall that, but I know there's multiple issues. So essentially they go there. I'll just break
yeah,
down a little bit of plot for you guys, and Gaz. I know what Gaz is coming to. I call this the
yeah.
good, the bad, and the ugly episode.
Oh, very much
If you've
so.
seen
Yeah,
that movie, I think you would get what I'm referencing, guys. So they go to do the deal. They see some of how the commoners are treated as they're coming into the city, and again,
yeah,
I'd say this is a semi-urban scene because it's like structured almost like a desert city, and they stay overnight, and their tongs are kind of partying with the dudes. They're like, "Hey, we got alcohol, we got women, food, blah blah blah." As they're staying overnight to do the deal the next day, they come out and they see like a Chinese, like a younger Chinese dude getting beat up
yeah,
by the German security
yeah,
forces, who's the lead trader's brother.
yeah,
And then Assam has a problem with it, so he steps to him. Understandable. We know how it goes when Assam steps to most people. He checks him on it. I think Young Jun talks him down. Like, dude, if you go after that guy and you fight him and you check him on it, they're gonna pull us out of the deal, and we're gonna lose
yeah.
money. And as you know, the Tongs need income at this time. So,
Yeah, and
leave it at
and the father as well. He tries to
Father
warn
Joseph.
Hassan, and what happens, folks? Heavy spoilers here. As they work out the deal with the German traders, and as they are pretty much leaving,
Yep.
um,
So they get the money done. Yep.
yeah, Hassan witnesses something where what's happened to one of the young workers, as Ross was describing.
Who was the kid they were beating up the night
Yeah,
before? So
yeah,
go ahead,
yeah,
Ross.
exactly. And it's a you know as soon as Hassan sees this, you know that's it. It's just gonna pop off.
Yeah.
Young John's father is pretty much no, let's not do this, but he knows. He
He's
has
a
an
last
awesome
minute.
scene with his rifle, spoiler alerts, where he's shooting all the
Yeah.
German mercenaries at range, providing support and fire for Assam, who's just an absolute
Yeah.
wrecking crew. Young John's
Yeah.
then the knife man having to go in there. There's an
Yeah.
absolute killer fight with Assam and the head German guy. I think it's the older brother inside. I think it's like a monastery or old
I
church.
think it's a church, yeah.
Yeah,
A mission, something like that, like a missionary.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
superbly choreographed, really well done. There's
So
even a
good.
bit of humor mixed in as well, even though this is brutal. And if
Which
you're a
its right
fan,
was.
yeah, if you're a fan of all these spaghetti westerns,
Yeah.
old school action movies mixed with martial arts, this has it all. Both
Yeah.
soundtrack, choreographed, the acting. This could have been even a standalone episode within
Oh
itself,
yeah.
and
Easily.
definitely I
Easily.
feel is the turning point for Warrior. It's getting us
Agreed.
past the heavy politicking back to the soul of Warrior, what it is. This is a start of it.
Yeah.
Probably.
And it, yeah.
I was just about to say probably my next favorite episode apart from the finale.
Yeah, I mean, God, I was trying to think of that because there's this one. There's when the big riot popped off when he slapped everybody with the nunchucks, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think wasn't that the first episode? And then there's the last couple fights, like Gaz was saying. Dude, Father John's rifle play.
That's
with
it, Father John. Yeah.
Lock and slide. Lee Harvey Oswald rifle, just completely offing dudes. The whole fight. So we'll just break it down for you because it's an amazing fight. So from the street level to him sniping dudes off the top to fighting all their way into the mission building where the German brothers are held up with all their goons. How awesome freaking smashes them. And then Gaz says the comedic relief because why wouldn't you have a laugh after freaking 50 people just got bodied in the street? when they leave, doesn't he say something like, we should get out of here soon?
Yeah. And I think young John says, yeah, good idea.
In the background, you should get out of there soon. You guys are serial killers. But I can see why Gaz liked that scene because I called it the good bit. Just the Western style. It's the most spaghetti Western Warrior episode I've ever seen. Let's move on, Gaz, a little bit if we could.
Yeah.
Gotta be crooked to get along in a crooked world. In the wake of Father John's injury, young Jung steps up for the Hop Way as Leary struggles to smooth over rising working class tensions. Assam grapples with revelations from Yan Mi and Mei Ling. I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on this one. I know if this is. Wait, let me check something. Go ahead.
I was about to say, I feel that this was kind of another kind of build-up episode into 8. I know I just said this, the one we were just. I know I just said
turning point. Yeah.
The soft heart won't do you no favors was kind of like the turning point. This was still another bit of a slow downturn. Apart from before we get to 8, 9, and 10, that are definitely not slow at all. There's a lot of the. I remember this because you see Leary faced with the conundrum of, Strickland's not a good dude and don't think he's good for anyone.
Double cross him, yeah.
Yeah. So how am I going to get out of this? I've got in bed deep with the wrong kind of person here. Mm-hmm. So it is pretty much a lot of it was surrounding that, and I think this was maybe the scene with the cringe moment with the mayor and his love interest. I think.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that same thing. Yep. So he comes in from deciding he was going to run mayor or winning the election or whatever.
Yeah.
And he finally bends her over a couch and bangs her. And it's just one of the cringiest sex scenes that you could ever see in a TV series. It's Warrior, guys. So there's a lot of male-female relationships, as there also is male-male relationships, which is Hong and his new boyfriend, which they spend quite a bit of time on that. I don't know if he's a Hispanic singer that he hangs out at this gay club. As cringy as their story arc and their whole relationship was, when Hong goes crazy and smashes that guy's face with the bottle in the gay club, actually an awesome moment.
Yeah, the thing, I don't feel they did a too good job of that as they did with Toy and Nelly, which that felt more. It didn't. Yeah, exactly. That it felt much more of a better portrayal.
It was like they need to force the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. It felt more forced.
It's probably the most SJW thing Warrior's done. Mind you, it's still Warrior. You're going to see thousands of guys die an episode, so it's not going to bother you that much if you're watching for action. But probably a little bit cringier than what they did in other seasons. So I don't know. It seemed like it was a lot of manipulation. In these breakdowns, I think this already happened, but I don't see anything what happened to Happy. Oh, it does relate back. So Happy Jack set up Chow and Lee, and that's the reason why they got kidnapped and sent back to Lee's family, right?
Yeah, and I think, is this the episode? Now then, I take back what I've said about this episode. Actually, it is quite good. If this is the one, I think, where Lee's girlfriend has her moment in the bar.
Coming to that moment, that's why I thought we both got the same feeling because we haven't mentioned it yet, so it must be around this episode. I mean, we could say what it is. I think everybody knows what's coming. Happy Jack is obnoxious, so he doesn't know that Chow and Lee have escaped, obviously, because he set them up, double-crossed them. Lee sets up, chills with his girlfriend. He has her in on it. she has what she has behind the bar. You guys should know, I believe it's a sawed-off shotgun, Gaz.
Yeah.
Happy Jack pulls up there, not knowing that they're back. She freaking blasts that dude in the chest, zips him up. Chow headshots him, and they show you both on camera. They don't run away from either. Kills. I was like, oh, I think I texted you. I was like, dude, that was one of the most brutal kills
you did,
in the show. That was. I don't mean to spoil it, guys, but it was so hardcore. It was like about as grindhouse as it gets. Later on, more develops from that when the younger guy takes over Happy Jack's gang, which is the next guy in line, a more violent, more crazier character, which turns it up a notch, and that culminates in later episodes. I'm not too sure what the revelations from Yan Mi and Mei Ling were, but anyway, it all culminates soon. Unless you have anything else, we can move on to 8, guys.
No, that's pretty much it. So I think it's a good place for us to move on to when you're losing a fight, which is episode 8.
Yeah, as Mei Ling proposes to Liang, he accepts. As you guys can decide whether it's political. You know, they have characters take both sides on it. As Mei Ling's wedding briefly unites the Hop Wei and Long Zi, so she invites almost all the factions. Yang receives a grim final warning from Kong Pak, who I believe is Dacascos. Meanwhile, Mosley and Lee further their investigation. Buckley reaps the benefits, and Bill reasserts his dominance. A whole bunch happens in this episode. Yeah. She does a bunch of political manipulation during the wedding, and then has a super cringe sex scene with Liang at the end, which also has tons of people assassinated during it. Which is the most grindhouse thing. It's the most warrior thing ever, having the main matriarch female character bang her new husband while like freaking 20 people die in the montage. Bill, okay, so some politics. Leary has been trying to get 2 of his boys out of the jail, but Atwood wouldn't do it because he's German or whatever. He's not Irish, so he's not cool with the Irish dudes. So Bill heads down there because he still has clout at the station. Those were all his men. We forgot to mention Bill was working at the what do you call that place, guys?
He was working at the mine, and he was appallingly. It was his wife's, wasn't it? His wife's brother, I think, that owned it, and he was really demeaning to Bill, giving him really mundane tasks to do. Really devaluing the guy, and then quick to jump on anything with him, like, oh, you didn't do this fast enough this day or whatever. He's trying to get a response from Bill.
Bill doesn't want him working on the force, so he had taken that other job, but he was still interacting with Lee, and you could see he's still conflicted about it. But as I was saying, so they go back to the station to get the boys out of the lockdown. I'll get Gaz's feedback. I want to get Gaz's feedback on this scene, because this is where you get your freaking self-gratification moment. Atwood challenges Bill to a bare-knuckle boxing fight, and they lock them in the cell, and he basically says, like, if you can knock me down, then I'll let the guys out, you know what I'm saying? And brutal fist fight.
The only thing is with this, right, I've got a bit of a gripe. It's a brutal scene, but I felt Atwood was still taken out a bit too easily in parts, because he'd been presented as a very capable, more of the Queensberry rule boxing guy, and then I feel he's taken out a little bit too easy by Bill. That's my only gripe. I thought this guy is no pushover, is a bit of a lunacy. That's my only. It's not that it's not a good team.
I would agree. Atwood's the bigger man, arguably heavier, arguably hits harder. However, though, Atwood teed off on him in the first half of the fight, so we thought Bill was pretty much out, and Bill came back. Bill had the endurance, he showed the endurance. That's the only thing.
He did, but he was still a bit oozy. However, I think now, if I'm recalling correctly, Bill kind of gets the guy for him to lose his temper, lose his control a bit, which then goes against him. I feel if Atwood had kept his cool, he probably could have taken Bill out, but he loses it.
I'll spoiler it if you guys need to skip this. So Bill faked him out at the end. He pretended like he was gonna throw in the towel and then rocked him with the uppercut. So he had his win. Hey, they didn't say there was going to be a bunch of rules. They didn't say, hey, it's Queensberry rule set, you know? So they did what they had to do in their freaking brutal, sick fight.
Awesome,
that was
wasn't it?
Yeah. Eventually, you guys know what will happen. Atwood is not coming back from that. I think we all knew Bill would ultimately probably get his job back. Other than that, I think it's just a lot of politics. Go ahead.
Is this the episode? Is it the next one where Kung Pak and Lee Young have their fight? Marc Dacascos.
Coming to that, I believe it is this one.
Because I think
I believe it's this one. Yeah. So so what happens is during her wedding, Mei Ling invites everybody to the wedding. She invites Awesome. She invites Atoy. She invites all the factions, all the leaders of all the factions. It's the guise the illusion of that she's going to unite everybody and they're not going to have the divided Chinatown anymore. I mean, the whole season they've talked about united Chinatown, but if you've been watching Warrior, that has never even remotely come close to happen because there's always something that divides everybody. So she takes out all the Tong elders, which is what Kong Pak has been warning Liang about. Like, hey, I know you're in love with Mei Ling, but she's too much of a risk. She always takes it too far, blah, 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 blah. She tries to control as much as she can, but then she takes, too much and it gets out of control. So she assassinates all the elders on her wedding night so she can have full control of the faction. Kong Pak predicted this to Liang, but he told her, like, no, it's all good. I can control her. They try to kill Kong Pak too, but he catches the strangulation and he kills the guy, obviously. Doesn't show that, but, he gets away. So he pulls up on Liang and he tries to take out Mei Ling. I text Gaz about this, an absolutely sick fight between Liang and Kong Pak. Marc Dacascos at his best. That room where Mei Ling is married in, they shoot like 50 scenes in there, but it's got that water pool in the middle. Just a lot of cool shit. And then even when Liang put him down, you could see that he was conflicted and he just did it to protect Mei Ling, and he didn't ever want it to come to him having to it's kind of a theme in this season, Gaz, of clans turning on each other, right?
It is.
Everybody ends up at each other's throats mostly.
Yeah, it is. And Mei Ling you can see she has that instant regret because the man who loves us pretty much just then had to kill his friend to protect his wife.
Essentially his mentor. Dacascos is his sensei too as well.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't want to. Yeah, Sifu, he didn't want to do that. Marc Dacascos, incredible.
Great fighter.
Yeah, he does, and I want to give him such a shout out because he has a long history of really good action and martial art films. Crying Freeman, for one. Everyone always goes on about the capoeira movie from the 90s, Only the Strong. He's done so much more than that. They even brought him into it was one of the recent Marvel series a few years back. I forget which one, but they brought him in as one of the villains, and just his presence and his martial arts ability just amped up the action scenes in that tenfold. I was actually gutted that he got killed because I really liked the character and credible martial artist. So I had, as much as that fight was epic and I knew why it had to happen for the story arc and the conclusion of it, I was like, man, he was such a good addition as well.
Agreed. And the only thing I'll say in response to Gaz is they've done such a good job with casting with Dacascos in this season, Michael Bisping in the early seasons. So all I can hope is if they do bring us back to 4, that maybe they could give us somebody else from MMA or martial arts legends like Dacascos. But that's my only input. I agree with Gaz. I just hope if they're going to take someone away from us, if they can give us someone new, I would take it.
Great.
But we'll see. And we're wrapping up here, guys. We're getting to the last 2 episodes, but we'll try not to make it too crazy for you. Season 3, episode 9, All Death is Going Home. Assam makes a bold sacrifice to protect Yan Mei Li. Mei Ling reckons with consequences of her actions, and Leary reaches his breaking point after a shocking blow from Strickland. I do want to just bounce back. I think it was the episode of the police raid as well, when Assam got the plates out of there. At first, I didn't even know what that was that he was smuggling.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But overall, that episode, I'd give it the same criticism I did to the others. It was pretty slow at first, and I was saying this to Gaz, and essentially you have 40 minutes of politics, and then
agreed.
The fight gets crammed into the last 10 minutes, and this did happen in that episode. It was a rain fight when Assam was smuggling the plates out, and he messed up a platoon of police officers. And I don't know if he used the nunchucks, but he used like stuff that was out of the crate. And so it was a sick fight in the rain, but you had to wait for it, you know what I mean?
You did.
And they did do that like 2 or 3 episodes. I was telling Gaz, like, dude, we've waited the whole episode. They gave you a fight at the end and they crammed it out. Now, that criticism can't be applied to this next episode, which is the another F word, a title, a window of effing opportunity. As the Secret Service finally corners the Tong's printing operation, Assam must choose between his brothers in the Hop Way and a future with Yan Mi. Later, Young Jun seizes the opportunity to hit the Long Z where it hurts. There's going to be probably quite a bit to break down because there's a lot that happens in this episode. It's freaking awesome. It's freaking nuts. So after Bill messes up Atwood, the mayor comes to him and is like, I need a new chief. So Bill accepts his old position back. As we know, Bill was originally trying to be chief, but the old mayor, whoever, shot him down the first time. So now he's back in control. So we kind of have all of our people back in line. Assam, Young Jun, Bill. Lee is kind of still doing his deputy thing. And then all the factions come to a culmination in this episode, which is, they kind of just all are in this massive, it's not like the street riot that happened before, but it's essentially a gang riot. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
Yeah. It is, if anybody's seen a lot of the Hong Kong and Korean gangster movies, I've sent messages to Ross and Mark in the middle of the night with screenshots of these movies where you've literally got all these gangs right in arms with weapons fighting. I'm like, dude, look at this, you gotta watch this. This is insane.
The old Jackie Chan movies and Sammo Hung, where there's the prison one, and it's just any of those kind of riot full-scale fight movies. Yeah.
This is insane. This is the episode of Warrior. This is my favorite. It has got everything thrown in there together. To say it's a combustible pot that explodes would be an understatement. It's really brutal. It's like all those grindhouse movies, all thrown into one. Everything happens. So much to unpack. I would recommend maybe even watch this episode twice because you'll be taken along for the thrill ride and there'll be parts you miss, and then maybe watch it again just to notice some of the story arcs.
I was just thinking of doing that for myself while you were saying that. Like, as we were saying how awesome it was, I was like, I think I might need to go repeat that one. So I'll start it off with Strickland's story arc. And I thought he did quite a good job as acting, as, he comes in as a manipulative aristocrat. And then he ultimately, double crosses factions. Of course, how that's getting to. Gaz mentioned how Toy has that vendetta against him. So Bill and Leary, go ahead.
No. Just remembered that. Just remembered her scene where she confronts him.
I'm gonna bring it full circle for you. So, and I love the way they set it up. By the way, Warrior is the SHIT. Friggin' Bill goes down to Strickland's mansion to see what's good, basically to check him. Encounters Leary on the way, who's on his way to dispatch of him because Leary's had enough at this point. Leary has Bill screwed Leary on the bridge deal. Leary had his boys blow up the bridge. So we have a lot of back and forth friction, as Gaz was saying. And then so while they're there to dispatch or whatever they're going to do to Strickland, they're going to encounter him, confront him. Toy and her apprentice are already in there. Friggin' Strickland keeps taking the sword off the wall and attempting to fence people who are martial arts trained kung fu masters, so you can take a guess on how that's going to go. Strickland gets sliced into a million pieces, dude, and it's probably even dirtier than the Happy Jack kill. And I was just telling Gaz, I was like, oh my god, I was like, Strickland got freaking body, dude. It was so satisfying.
Yeah. It's the whole scene. I forgot about that moment with Leary taking out the railway, which sends Strickland even crazier, if you like. It's a really good scene. So
let's just call back real quick. We're gonna get right back to this episode, guys. But the blowback from Leary blowing up the bridge is the very ending of the episode before, which is. Strickland sends railway goons to jump him with the hammers and the railway weapons. He's drinking at this bar. I text Gaz about this too. Leary beat the brakes. You want to talk about a bar fight scene? How about a one-man bar fight scene? Leary beats the brakes off of these guys one of the most brutal one-man. It might as well be a Bruce Lee sequence, except for the fact that Leary is an Irish bare-knuckle boxer, but he trashes these guys like they think. So in my head, I'm thinking like, damn, Leary's gonna call his boys, right? Like he's gonna get the Irish goods to, because how's he gonna fight all these guys with hammers? Leary beats them to a pulp so savagely that you guys wouldn't believe it. You got to watch it for yourself.
Yeah, it's so brutal and effective, and the setup. I remember that when Bill and Leary are approaching at Strickland's house, and they're telling her apprentices are already in there. Ross Riley said, "Such a good example of showing you the kind of aristocratic European fencing style versus the Eastern martial arts style with the blade." Yeah, as Ross rightly said, and see how
listening
that
to the
went.
vinyl with the music, as Gaz said,
Yeah.
genius use of music in every Warner scene.
Well, yeah, and that
the highfalutin whiskey.
and there's a good parallel there. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but as being movie nerds, Clockwork Orange, the gang leader, dude, where he's beating people up to Mozart. I felt that parallel there with that scene, with Beethoven. Incredibly well done.
Good call. I mean, I'm the biggest Clockwork Orange fanboy. That one slipped by me, so I like that, guys. That's a great comparison. So, anyway, you guys have heard Strickland meets his end. Spoiler alert. Fast forward if you need to. So, what I would call this last fight. Okay, so just to set up Asam's situation, he did the deal with Mei Ling to get Young Jung out.
Yeah.
Asam's love interest is, I don't know if you could pull her name, Gaz, while we're chatting.
Yeah,
but,
I will do.
She was the printing press girl that Young Jung started using. Young Jung and the Tongs started training their own guys to run the print machine. Now her father, I think, was the original owner of the print press building room business, however you say that. She gets locked up by the cops for working there. They found out that she was helping them print the money. In order to get them out, Assam makes the deal with Lee, and then that Secret Service, deputy dude agent, that he'll get them the plates if they'll get her out. And he tells her that, when and if I get you out, you got to go straight to the train and bounce. Now, Young Jun knows that Assam has that relationship, so there's double friction between Young Jun and Assam, friction of Assam being Mei Ling's brother, and friction of Assam's love interest being the printer, which is what the Tongs are relying on the business for the counterfeit money. Yeah. So Young Jun has been telling Hong and these other characters when they've been drinking at night at the parties that, if it comes down to it, you guys all know you have your loyalty to me and the clan as opposed to Assam's our brother, but if he picks his sister, blah, blah, blah. He's been sowing the seed. So all of that culminates to this fight where the agents, the police, working with the FBI agents, the Secret Service, encounter where the Tong operation is for the plates. That's where Assam is. So Assam makes the back deal. He says, let me do it in a way that least amount of people get hurt. So his plan is for him to be on the shift, to clear out the building. But when he pulls up, Hong is still there covering for someone else that backed up on his shift. And Assam's like, what are you doing here, man? You got to get out of here. He knew it was going down. The mayor pulls Mei Ling into a meeting like, hey, I brought you here. I'm protecting you. That way you don't get stuck in the raid. However, everybody else, Assam, Hong, they're all going to be there. Young Jung, right? Everybody else is going to be there, right? So he tells Hong to get out of there. Hong's sticking around. When the authorities come, it's the police and the Secret Service and also Happy Jack's old gang with the new leader show up. Yeah. And they're all fighting for the plates. And it launches into another massive shootout, to the shootout at the level of the German episode, as Gaz was saying, possibly bigger with the pistols.
Yeah, it really is. A great scene.
Fight.
The actress who plays Assam's love interest is Chelsea Moorhead. Forgive the pronunciation, Moorhead. She is a Canadian actress, Filipino-Scottish actor from Toronto. She did a good performance, I thought. There's a scene where, if you like, Happy Jack's successor comes face to face with the Hop Way, and then the police arrive, and this is all going to combust, and Bill's trying to keep a head on it, and Assam, you can see his tone is I know I've got it.
Her character is Yan Mi as well. But
Yan Mi, yeah. Uh, that is, man, the facial expressions literally spoke 1,000 words, and I know how cliche that sounds, y'all, but it really does. And then just literally everything breaks loose there. It gets to one of the pivotal scenes, which Ross is heading towards, where Hassan is back at the Hopway headquarters, and Young Jun is facing him opposite with him with all Hopway behind him, and it's like kind of a real Bruce Lee moment where they've got the weapons, the fight scene,
I'd say
everything
I
done.
would say akin to Game of Death. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the
Oh,
background
definitely.
of the almost dojo background with the weapons.
Yeah.
Obviously it's the Tong Fortress, as Gaz was saying, or their main base of operations. But just real quick, because I want people to know how pivotal this massive shootout is. So Sam is going to hand Lee the plates, but then Happy Jack's gang is willing to shoot the cops to try to obtain them. So that results in a massive shootout with the Hopway in between them. So the cops are shooting at those dudes. Everyone's trying to get the plates. I think one of Happy Jack's guys grabs the plates, and Assam is like, dude, I can't get him because I made the deal with Secret Service that I have to get the plates in order to get you on me out. So he chases the dude down. I just want to talk about that water. It's like the sewer, whatever you'd call that, Gaz, like water fight.
Yeah.
Dude, I think he has the pistol at first, and he's shooting at
He
him,
does,
and then
yeah.
he pulls the knife on him.
Yeah.
Assam obliterates the fool, freaking punches the knife through his chest. Head kick, drops him to the water, and then he grabs the plates. As he's doing that, Lee pops up on him. He's like, I thought we had a deal. Sam's like, we did have the deal. I'm just like he's like, this is my side of the bargain. I'm making sure you're holding down yours. Obviously not going to give it to him if he's not going to, acquiesce to doing what he wants. That pretty much results in Lee's like, you got to get out of here. I got to arrest you. So he bounces. But that whole fight, that shootout is crazy. Like the other shootout that Gas was referencing. Like a bunch of cops get shot. Almost all of Happy Jack's gang gets obliterated. That leads up to Assam getting back to the headquarters, which is the scene Gaz just referenced with Young Jun. Young Jun having the entire clan behind him. Young Jun finally confronts him on the Mei Ling issue, which is, we're going over there to take her out. This is the time. He's
with
like,
us or not,
you don't have to come with us. He's like, I'm not going to make you do it. He's like, but you're also not going to stop us. So Assam's like, on it being blood, being his sister, as opposed to, his profession, which is being a brother of the clan, which is work. He falls on the side of like, that's my sister. So I don't want to blow too much for them, Gaz, but we'll just say that we'll tell him what happens, which is what Gaz alluded to, which is Young Jun sends the entire clan at Assam. He fights every single guy at once, at the same time. So that's why I said it was like a Game of Death style scene with, the one Bruce Lee-esque character, which is obviously Assam, getting rushed by the never-ending dudes. And like the choreography, insane, bouncing off the walls, breaking through the wooden wall sliders, breaking the furniture, grabbing weapons off the rack. You're going to see everything in the room utilized in a combat destructive manner. Obviously, you can take a guess that it's most likely leading to an Assam Young Jung fight or Assam Young Jung Hong, the three fight, and it's the whole amazing sequences, amazing combat, super entertaining fight, gory. What's his name? Young Jung with the knives. Bloody grindhouse, like
camera work is excellent, folks, and
music.
Definitely. And even after this fight, Assam is outside. Spoiler alert here: Young John is barely on his feet because he's, Assam is their best fighter. He's obliterates them all. And it's not done so easily, guys. It's not just one man, right? You're gone.
He
has to work for it.
He takes a ton of damage from the clan. Young Jun and Hong put a crap ton of damage on him because it's always them three fighting together. So it's the two second best fighters versus the best fighter, as guys was saying. Yeah, realistic.
But even when Assam comes out on top and Young Jun's outside, barely on his feet, and I mean barely on his feet with his knives. And what's good is that there's a shot where the camera pans back and you see Assam and you see some of the local residents, the Chinese, they're stood in the background, and they kind of know, they're seeing it. Assam's no longer with the hot way. Is Assam going to be on our side now? Is he going to be a force for good? and that visual kind of sets it up for next season. Not totally, because there's another scene yet which we'll get to in a moment, but I thought that was a real nice way of showing Assam's right at long last he's picked a side, and that decision that was really good with the rain as well.
His story arc culminated once again in the rain, which is a thing that Warrior does. We won't say what happens to Young Jun, but we'll just say that it did leave open for his story arc to continue, I believe. So which I like, because if they're whatever they become, if it's they've been best friends, if they're mortal enemies, that'd be super interesting for us. That's like a Gamora type of thing right there. Go check my Gamora review, guys. So the Hopway Rush Mei Ling, and as cringe and 50-50 and up and down as her acting has been, I'm going to give her a compliment here, guys, when she pulls the revolver when they're rushing in, and just so you guys can take a guess what happens. The Hopway are rushing Mei Ling's fortress. Most of her guys have been taken out, so they're rushing at her one by one, and she's just, it's almost like a first-person shooter movie. She's just taking them out with a revolver. Boom, 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 boom. Assam is working his way to her fortress, but he's been stabbed so many times in the fight that he's bleeding out in the street, so he's like slowly crawling his way back to try to save her, but he's sustained so much damage that you can see it's gonna be tough for him to make it back there.
This scene kind of a little bit reminded me of the is it the tea house in Lucy Liu's moment in the Tarantino Kung Fu movie? After the names escape me now, the first one. Kill Bill, yeah.
And then also, when you said tea house, I think that's a reference to one of the John Woo starts. It might be The Killer. It might be The Killer.
Yeah, that's an awesome movie.
That might be Tarantino calling back to The Killer tea house. To be fair on this one, I agree with you. We're both not fans of the character, but she has a moment here, and even when Assam, spoiler alert, folks, finds her, you do feel sorry for her. You kind of, and what she did in that scene is impressive as hell, as Gaz was saying, for a man or a woman. She has a highlight. Not our favorite actress, has some cringe, political manipulation scenes, but combat, just impact-wise, what she does in that scene, you're like, oh man, that was brutal. So Assam ultimately makes it back there. You guys will see the state that he finds her in, as Gaz said. It basically rolls credits. I do have a music note on you for the end. So did you stick around and see that final scene, Gaz? I think you said you did.
I did, yeah, I did.
So Leong comes out. All those new soldiers come from a different province, I guess, and kind of rebuild the numbers of his clan. So he's back in charge. That's the final thing it shows. Did you catch what song that was playing? It's a Chinese cover, but it's, I think... I did, yeah, I did. Now I can't remember, it's a while ago, but I know I did, because I did message you. It's a Tarantino reference. I think it's a Reservoir Dogs reference, because it's a Chinese cover of Little Green Bag, the 70s song, and that's the song that it plays in Reservoir Dogs. That's the song Tarantino plays in Reservoir Dogs. So, there's a lot of, the Asian stuff referencing, Tarantino and Woo, and then Tarantino referencing that stuff. So I think what they were doing there was a Reservoir Dogs callback.
Yeah, and then it goes into the regular warrior theme with the dude spitting over it, which they brought in on season 2, I think.
Yeah, the Chinese hip hop anthems are sick. So at the end of every episode, it either has like a Chinese cover or a Chinese hip hop cover, and it will be like, if you hear the melody, it will usually be like a pop song that but like a sick, grimy Chinese cover. But that's pretty much all we have for season 3. I would rate it pretty high, Gaz. I don't know what my rating would be, or if you have one in mind.
It's got to be no lower than an 8.5. I'm at between 8.5 or a 9.
I could see either one.
Maybe 8, maybe 8.5 because of the early part with the politicking, but it kind of comes back around as we've been sharing with everybody in the later episodes. So between 8.5 and 9. Soundtrack awesome, choreography awesome, acting superb, camera work really good as well.
The gore sets was up probably a 10 out of 10 if you're a Grindhouse head. Just care. care about.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's good. It's good, man.
So what are your final thoughts then, rating
I'll
wise?
probably give it an 8 out of 10, guys.
Yeah.
Like you said. Now, in this one, it had the highest dose of manipulation and politics. We're not gonna skimp on that. I did feel that some of the episodes stretched out too long before they
Agreed.
got to the fighting. They crammed the fights into the last 10 minutes. And fight sequences are hard. I understand why the show could be moving networks. So I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. That being said, highlight episodes: the riot where Assam went crazy with the nunchucks, the German excursion episode, as Gaz said.
Yeah, definitely.
Final fight where everybody, essentially fights their own faction. Leong's fights, Marc Dacascos' fights. So many good fights, so many good matchups. Overall, good acting. Mei Ling up and down, but she has the answer to her is Atoy, who actually gets in 3 or 4 really sick fights with men and completely destroys them. So
Great
it's not
character.
a male versus female thing. So I'm around an 8 out of 10. Very
Agreed.
good season.
8.5. I'm gonna go for now.
I could see it. I could see it being done here, guys. I could see it being one and done on season 3, and I think I could live with it. If Netflix is going to pick it up, and you guys, if you don't have HBO Max, you should definitely watch the first 3 seasons on Netflix. I think they start next month, and the next couple months it's going to be on Netflix. I think if it does well, I think if those seasons stream well, I think we'll be lucky enough for maybe have Netflix to pick it up and do season 4. If that's the case, we will review season 4 for you guys. Amazing show. One of my top kung fu shows. I haven't seen Into the Badlands. Gaz and I want to get into that. Outstanding show. Like we said, music, fight choreography, acting, mostly every element is on point. This season, veered off a little bit different mythos wise, but it still came full circle in the end, as Gaz was saying. Assam is the highlight. I could see that guy. I'd love to see him in some martial arts kung fu action movies, like the stuff we review with Scott Adkins, Iko Uwais, Tony Jaa. I think he could easily fit into those.
Yeah, definitely. He's a dude who's in the Snake Eyes movie as well, guys. So Pete, that I would like to see him get a shine in some more martial art movies for sure.
Agreed. But I think that's everything we have on Warrior Season 3. You should definitely check it out. If you have HBO Max, definitely get it on there. If you need to get it on an alternative source, you have to watch it regardless. Look out for it coming soon on Netflix. We'd like to get One More Shot out soon. Speaking of Scott Adkins, that's the sequel of One Shot, which is an action movie that they film in one continuously shot, which I think is an interesting way to film an action film. We didn't get to review the first one, but we might talk a little bit about it in the sequel review. It's got Scott Adkins, Michael Jai White, Tom Berenger, so we will definitely be talking about that. And then we have a couple other things. If there's anything you guys want us to review, you can leave ideas below in the comments. Gaz and I have talked about Napoleon. We have talked about what's our other new stuff?
Napoleon, the Iron Claw, Silent Night, and One More Shot. Yeah, and there's another one.
And there's other stuff too. Dune Part 2 is coming out soon. There's other stuff as well. So we'll definitely keep the reviews coming. Make sure you subscribe to Mosh Shinobi. Follow us on socials. We'll have the X handles below. Zodiac Files episode 4 coming soon. That's pretty much everything we have. So if you guys have any other ideas, we are going to be doing the retro list of the PXF classics and then additional subscriber only and membership only shows. You can click the join button next to the sub. That's where you can get the membership and you will get exclusive material from the channel. So
definitely,
I think that is just about everything, folks.
I want to give you a quick shout out. I'm halfway through doing my focus on the American Ninja series. I've got American Ninja 2 should be up hopefully within the next day or two. I did plan to have it released on Friday, got a bit delayed. But myself and Ross are planning a special look at something to tie in with the American Ninja series, which is the Scott Adkins movies Ninja, very underrated. American Ninja is definitely an influence on those. So that will be coming in the future. Will probably come under a video I'm planning to do looking at the legacy of the American Ninja movie. So that's probably where we'll look at Ninja, and myself and Ross will be doing a deep dive on that. And as Ross said, if there's anything you want us to cover, whether it fits over a PXF or Mosh Shinobi, let us know and we'll cover it for whichever channel it fits. And thank you everybody for watching, and don't forget to subscribe at Planet X Films, at Mosh Shinobi. Peace out, everyone. Have a good weekend.
And don't forget about our game streams. Gaz
Oh
and
yeah,
I
forgot
both
about
have
them.
a couple new reviews up, and we're going to be playing beat 'em ups on Mosh Shinobi, beat 'em ups on my Twitch, which is
Yeah,
twitch.tv/Planet X Games. We're looking at G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra when it comes out. We're looking at Toxic Crusaders, and Toxic Crusaders might open up a bunch of stuff to us reviewing the Toxic Avenger movies. We could
definitely,
do Toxic
definitely.
Avenger OG, Gaz, before the new remake comes out, as well as the Toxic Crusaders animation show. Literally, we're going to be all over the place, guys. There's a
Yeah,
Beetlejuice sequel coming out. We might do Beetlejuice OG. That's a classic for me. There's going to be way more shows, way more content, especially once my schedule clears up this summer. We're going to be all over everything. So anything you want, beat 'em up, game review, stream wise, movie
yeah.
review, action show review. Like Gaz said, you could reach us a lot of places. You could reach us on the Insta spams. You can get us on X. You can get us here in the comments. Just reach out anywhere, anything you want to see us cover. We will do our best to cover it. Like, subscribe, share. Warrior Season 3. Go check that out. We're out.
Peace.